Today we will dive into the surprising story of Solomon. Known for his unparalleled wisdom, immeasurable wealth, and prosperous kingdom, Solomon seemed invincible. But how did the wisest king of all time end up losing his way? Get ready to uncover the secrets, mistakes, and betrayals that led to the downfall of one of history's greatest kings, the ascension to the throne. At the beginning of Solomon's story, King David, already old and weakened, faces challenges to maintain the stability of his kingdom. Tension rises as his sons compete for the throne. Adonijah, one of David's sons, takes advantage of his father's weakness to declare himself king, organizing a feast and gaining the support of influential leaders. However, the prophet Nathan and Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, intervene. They approach David, reminding him of his promise to make Solomon the next king. Determined to keep his word, David orders Solomon to be anointed and proclaimed king, with Benaiah, Zadok, and Nathan by his side to perform the ceremony. Solomon's acclamation takes place amid great celebrations and acclaim from the people, while Adonijah, surprised and fearful, seeks refuge at the altar. Demonstrating clemency, Solomon promises to spare his brother's life as long as he behaves honorably. Thus, Solomon ascends to the throne, consolidating his power and eliminating potential threats. He asks God for wisdom to govern his people, and this choice defines his reign. Solomon begins his leadership with a wise and just decision, resolving a dispute between two women who claim to be the mother of the same baby. Proposing to divide the child in half, Solomon reveals the true mother, who prefers to lose the child rather than see him killed. This act of wisdom solidifies his reputation as a fair and perceptive leader. A new era under Solomon is marked by prosperity and stability, with strong political alliances and a well-organized army. He expands the kingdom's borders and establishes trade treaties, increasing Israel's wealth and influence. Solomon's desire for wisdom and knowledge leads him to build the temple in Jerusalem, a symbol of his faith and leadership. Workers from all over are summoned for the construction, and the temple becomes a spiritual and cultural center of the kingdom. Solomon governs with a firm hand and astute mind, establishing an efficient administration and a respected justice system. His reign is remembered for his judicial decisions and his ability to maintain peace among neighboring nations. Over the years, Solomon builds palaces, fortresses, and cities, leaving an architectural legacy that symbolizes the greatness of his reign, the request for wisdom. After ascending to the throne of Israel, Solomon felt the weight of the responsibility that lay upon his shoulders. His father, King David, had left a powerful legacy and a unified nation, but Solomon knew that the task of governing would not be easy. In his youth, he understood that he would need something more than strength or wealth to be a good king. In a moment of introspection and humility, Solomon went to the altar at Gibeon to offer sacrifices. It was there that he had a powerful vision during the night. In a dream, God appeared to him and said, "Ask what I shall give you." 1 Kings 3:5. Faced with this offer, Solomon could have asked for wealth, long life, or the death of his enemies. However, recognizing his inexperience and the greatness of the task before him, he asked for an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. 1 Kings 3:9. This request surprised and pleased God, who responded, "Because you have asked this thing, and have not asked for yourself long life, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice. Behold, I have done according to your words. See, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before you, nor shall any like you arise after you." 1 Kings 3:11-12. With this wisdom, Solomon began to govern with justice and discernment. Soon, his wisdom was tested with the famous case of the two women who both claimed to be the mother of the same baby. He proposed to divide the child in half, thereby revealing the true mother, who preferred to give up her child rather than see him killed. This judgment quickly spread, and all of Israel recognized that God's wisdom was with Solomon to administer justice. 1 Kings 3:28. Solomon's fame grew, attracting leaders and sages from other nations who came to hear his words and learn from his judgments. He wrote many proverbs and songs, sharing his understanding with all who sought knowledge. Solomon also embarked on great projects, including the construction of the Temple in Jerusalem, a grand work that symbolized the spiritual center of Israel. Solomon's wisdom not only solidified his position as a leader, but also brought an era of prosperity and peace to the kingdom of Israel. He managed to establish alliances, promote trade, and ensure that justice prevailed throughout his domain. The story of Solomon's request for wisdom is a testament to humility and understanding, teaching that the true power of a leader lies in wisdom and discernment. The judgment of the two mothers. One morning in the kingdom of Israel, two women came before King Solomon, each carrying a heart-rending claim. They were mothers of newborn babies, living together in the same house. One night, one of the mothers accidentally smothered her child while sleeping. In desperation, she swapped the dead baby with the other woman's child. When the true mother woke and discovered the dead baby beside her, she quickly realized it was not her son. A bitter dispute began, with both women claiming to be the mother of the living baby. Solomon, known for his wisdom, listened attentively to both arguments. He understood that this was a delicate situation, requiring more than a common decision. In a moment of remarkable discernment, he ordered, "Bring me a sword." 1 Kings 3:24. The court fell silent as a soldier brought the sword to the king. Solomon then declared, "Divide the living child in two, and give half to one and half to the other." 1 Kings 3:25. The response of the women was immediate and revealing. The true mother, in deep anguish, implored the king, "O my lord, give her the living child and by no means kill him." 1 Kings 3:26. She preferred to give up her child to the other woman rather than see him killed. The other woman, on the other hand, agreed with the king's judgment, showing indifference to the child's life. Solomon, now confident in his decision, said, "Give the living child to the first woman, and by no means kill him. She is his mother." 1 Kings 3:27. With this resolution, he revealed the true mother and the wisdom with which God had endowed him. The people of Israel heard of this judgment and were in awe of the king's wisdom, realizing that he possessed the discernment to administer justice. This judgment not only solidified Solomon's reputation as a just and wise king, but also served as an example of the type of leadership he exercised. His ability to penetrate the essence of conflicts and uncover the truth made him a respected and feared leader. The construction of the temple. After consolidating his reign and ensuring peace in Israel, Solomon turned to one of the most ambitious tasks of his life, the construction of the temple in Jerusalem. This grand project was an old desire of his father David, who, being unable to accomplish it, left the preparations in Solomon's hands. Determined to fulfill this legacy, Solomon began the plans to erect a house for the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred place where the name of God would be honored. Solomon sent messengers to Hiram, king of Tyre, requesting cedar wood from Lebanon and skilled craftsmen to assist in the construction. In 1 Kings 5:6, Solomon says, "Therefore command that they cut down cedars for me from Lebanon, and my servants will be with your servants. And I will pay you for your servants according to whatever you say. For you know that there is none among us who has skill to cut timber like the Sidonians." Hiram, a friend of David, readily agreed and supplied the necessary materials, initiating a prosperous commercial alliance between the two kingdoms. With the resources secured, Solomon mobilized a colossal workforce consisting of 30,000 men sent to Lebanon in shifts, 70,000 laborers, and 80,000 stone cutters, supervised by 3,300 foremen. 1 Kings 5:13-16. Construction began in the 4th year of Solomon's reign and took 7 years to complete. Every detail of the temple was meticulously planned and executed, from the massive stone blocks to the intricate gold decorations. The temple had an impressive structure with a vestibule, a main nave, and the Holy of Holies, where the Ark of the Covenant would be placed. The inner walls were lined with cedar and carved with cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, all overlaid with pure gold. 1 Kings 6:29-30. The grandeur and beauty of the temple reflected Solomon's devotion to creating a place of worship worthy of the God of Israel. When the temple was finally completed, Solomon summoned all the leaders of Israel for a dedication ceremony. The Ark of the Covenant was brought in a solemn procession and placed in the Holy of Holies. Solomon, in a gesture of reverence, prayed aloud, asking that the temple be a place of prayer and reconciliation for all the people of Israel. In 1 Kings 8:22-23 he declared, "Lord God of Israel, there is no God in heaven above or on earth below like you, who keep your covenant and mercy with your servants who walk before you with all their hearts." The dedication celebration lasted 14 days, with sacrifices and festivities that united all the people. The presence of God was manifested, and the temple became the spiritual center of Israel. This great achievement of Solomon not only strengthened the faith and identity of the people, but also marked an era of splendor and prosperity in the kingdom. The wealth and prosperity of Solomon. During Solomon's reign, Israel experienced an unprecedented period of wealth and prosperity. After the construction of the temple in Jerusalem, Solomon turned his attention to strengthening trade alliances and expanding his kingdom's influence. He made agreements with neighboring nations such as Egypt, from where he took the Pharaoh's daughter as his wife, consolidating a powerful alliance. These alliances opened doors to vibrant trade, bringing wealth from distant lands. Solomon built a fleet of ships at Etzion-Geber near Elath, on the shore of the Red Sea, in Edom, 1 Kings 9:26. With the help of experienced sailors sent by Hiram, king of Tyre, the fleet sailed to Ophir and brought back large quantities of gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. 1 Kings 10:22. These exotic treasures not only enriched the kingdom, but also symbolized the expansion of Israel's influence in international affairs. At home, Solomon encouraged agriculture and industry, ensuring that the people of Israel had abundance. He built store cities, fortresses, and cities for his chariots and horses. 1 Kings 9:19. These cities served not only as trade centers, but also as strategic outposts that protected trade routes in the kingdom. Solomon's efficient administration and tax system ensured that wealth flowed constantly into the capital, Jerusalem. Solomon's wisdom also attracted visitors from distant lands such as the Queen of Sheba, who came to test his fame with difficult questions. 1 Kings 10:1. Impressed with Solomon's wisdom and wealth, she presented the king with 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices and precious stones. 1 Kings 10:10. The Queen of Sheba's visit not only reinforced Solomon's reputation, but also strengthened trade and diplomatic ties between their nations. Solomon's palace in Jerusalem was a reflection of the kingdom's prosperity. He built a grand royal residence, adorned with cedars from Lebanon, and decorated with gold and precious stones. Solomon's throne, made of ivory and overlaid with pure gold, was a marvel of engineering and craftsmanship, symbolizing his power and wealth. 1 Kings 10:18-20. Solomon also ushered in an era of peace, allowing trade to flourish without the interruptions of war. He maintained a guard of 12,000 horsemen and 1,400 chariots, ensuring that Israel was respected and feared by its neighbors. 1 Kings 10:26. This relative peace allowed commercial activities to expand, bringing even more wealth to the kingdom. Solomon's wealth was not limited to material treasures. His pursuit of knowledge and wisdom resulted in the creation of many proverbs and songs, and his court became a center of learning and culture. Solomon surrounded himself with wise men and artisans, promoting an environment where science, literature, and the arts flourished. The visit of the Queen of Sheba. In the midst of the peak of his reign, Solomon's fame spread to distant lands, reaching the ears of the Queen of Sheba, a wealthy and powerful monarch from a kingdom in southern Arabia. Curious and impressed by the reports of Solomon's wisdom and wealth, she decided to undertake a challenging journey to Jerusalem, to test the king with difficult questions and offer him valuable gifts. Caravans loaded with spices, gold, and precious stones accompanied the queen, reflecting the grandeur of her visit. Upon arriving in Jerusalem, the Queen of Sheba was received with great honor and brought to Solomon's splendid palace. As narrated in 1 Kings 10:2, she came to Jerusalem with a very great retinue, with camels bearing spices and very much gold and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she told him all that was on her mind. Solomon, with his sagacity and knowledge, answered all the queen's questions, elucidating even the deepest mysteries she had brought. The queen was amazed not only by Solomon's answers but also by the organization of his court, the opulence of his palace, the food on his table, the housing of his servants, the service of his waiters and their attire, his cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the house of the Lord. In 1 Kings 10:4-5 it is written, "And when the queen of Sheba had seen all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the food of his table, the seating of his officials, and the attendance of his servants, their clothing, his cupbearers, and his burnt offerings that he offered at the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her." Astonished, the queen of Sheba said to the king, "The report was true that I heard in my own land of your acts and your wisdom. But I did not believe the reports until I came and my own eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Your wisdom and prosperity surpass the report that I heard." 1 Kings 10:6-7. She acknowledged Solomon's greatness and praised God, who had placed such a king over Israel to execute justice and righteousness. As a gesture of respect and admiration, the queen presented Solomon with 120 talents of gold, a great quantity of spices, and precious stones. These gifts were a demonstration of her reverence for Solomon's wisdom and wealth. In return, Solomon gave the queen everything she desired and asked for, besides what he had already given her out of his royal bounty. In 1 Kings 10:13 we read, "And King Solomon gave to the queen of Sheba all that she desired, whatever she asked besides what was given her by the bounty of King Solomon. So she turned and went back to her own land with her servants." The visit of the Queen of Sheba not only strengthened the commercial and diplomatic ties between the two kingdoms, but also highlighted Solomon's wisdom and discernment. The writings of Solomon. At the height of his reign, Solomon stood out not only for his political and economic leadership, but also for his intellectual and spiritual impact. His relentless pursuit of knowledge resulted in a vast collection of writings that left a profound legacy. Inspired by the wisdom granted by God, Solomon dedicated himself to recording proverbs, songs, and teachings that would be passed down from generation to generation. Solomon's Proverbs, a compilation of his practical and spiritual teachings, are considered one of the greatest collections of wisdom from antiquity. In Proverbs 1:1-3, it is said, "The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity." Through these proverbs, Solomon addressed themes such as morality, justice, and ethical behavior, offering guidance for a virtuous life. In addition to the Proverbs, Solomon is also credited with writing the Song of Songs, a lyrical poem that celebrates the love and beauty of the relationship between a man and a woman. This book, although enigmatic, is seen as a sublime expression of romantic love and is celebrated for its emotional depth and poetic language. "I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. He grazes among the lilies." Song of Songs 6:3 exemplifies the delicacy and intensity of this love. Another notable writing by Solomon is the book of Ecclesiastes, where he reflects on the transience of life and the search for meaning. Solomon, in his wisdom, explored various facets of human existence, from work to pleasure, and concluded that without a higher purpose all is vanity. In Ecclesiastes 1:2-3 he declares, "Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun?" These profound reflections challenge the reader to seek a purpose beyond the superficialities of life. In addition to his own writings, Solomon also attracted wise men and scholars from various lands to his court, making Jerusalem a center of learning and culture. He compiled knowledge from different traditions and encouraged intellectual debate. promoting an era of cultural and spiritual flourishing. His court was a place where wisdom was valued and cultivated. The influence of Solomon's writings extended beyond his reign, permeating the culture and religion of Israel and beyond. His words were studied, memorized, and transmitted through the centuries, impacting countless lives. Solomon's literary legacy is a testament to his relentless quest for wisdom and understanding, serving as an eternal source of inspiration and guidance. Solomon's 1,000 women. During Solomon's reign, his wisdom and wealth were known throughout the land, but his personal life also drew much attention, especially for his numerous wives and concubines. In 1 Kings 11:1-3 we read, King Solomon loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, from the nations of which the Lord had said to the children of Israel, You shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you. Surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods. Solomon clung to these in love. He had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Initially, these marital alliances were seen as political strategies to consolidate power and ensure peace with neighboring nations. Each marriage represented a peace treaty or a trade alliance, strengthening the kingdom of Israel and expanding its influence. However, these relationships came at a price. Many of the women brought their own cultures and religions, creating a melting pot of foreign influences in Solomon's court. Over time, Solomon's heart began to turn away. The foreign wives persuaded him to build altars and temples for their gods, introducing idolatrous practices into Israel. In 1 Kings 11:4-5 it is said, For it was so, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned his heart after other gods. And his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon built high places for Chemosh, the god of Moab, and for Molech, the god of the Ammonites, on the hill that is east of Jerusalem. This provoked the anger of the Lord, who had appeared to Solomon twice and commanded him not to follow other gods. But Solomon did not keep the Lord's command. 1 Kings 11:7-10. Solomon's idolatry brought severe consequences. God said to Solomon, Because you have done this and have not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. 1 Kings 11:11. Although the kingdom would not be taken from Solomon during his lifetime, due to the promise made to David his father, the Lord promised to divide the kingdom after Solomon's death, giving a significant portion to Jeroboam, one of his servants. The story of Solomon's 1,000 women is a testament to the danger of compromising faith in pursuit of power and political alliances. The wisdom that once guided him was overshadowed by the influence of his wives, leading him to stray from God's ways. This deviation not only affected Solomon personally, but also had lasting repercussions for the kingdom of Israel. The fall and mistakes of Solomon. In the early years of his reign, Solomon was celebrated for his wisdom and justice. He had built the magnificent temple in Jerusalem, consolidated powerful alliances, and elevated Israel to a period of unprecedented prosperity. However, over time, Solomon's mistakes began to manifest, leading to his downfall. The wisdom that once guided him was overshadowed by his misguided decisions and the influence of his many wives. The beginning of Solomon's fall can be traced to his marital alliances. He took for himself 700 wives and 300 concubines, many of them foreign princesses. These alliances, initially seen as political strategies, began to erode the foundations of his faith. In 1 Kings 11:1-2 we read, King Solomon loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, from the nations concerning which the Lord had said to the people of Israel, You shall not enter into marriage with them, neither shall they with you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clung to these in love. The influence of these foreign women was devastating. Solomon, who once faithfully adhered to God's commandments, began to build altars and temples for their gods. He erected shrines for Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, for Chemosh, the god of Moab, and for Moloch, the abomination of the Ammonites, 1 Kings 11:5-7. This marked a severe transgression against God's commandments and signaled a clear apostasy. Solomon's idolatry brought inevitable consequences. God appeared to Solomon and said, "Since this has been your practice and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes that I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom from you and will give it to your servant." 1 Kings 11:11. The division of the kingdom was decreed, but for the sake of David, Solomon's father, God would not take the kingdom away during Solomon's lifetime, but during the reign of his son. In addition to his spiritual transgressions, Solomon also made administrative errors. His construction projects and the luxury of his court led to a heavy tax burden on the people. Dissatisfaction grew, and many resented the king's opulence. The young Jeroboam, a talented official in Solomon's administration, became the focus of this discontent. Ahijah, the prophet, met Jeroboam and tore his cloak into 12 pieces, giving 10 to Jeroboam, and prophesying that he would rule over 10 tribes of Israel. 1 Kings 11:29-31. The deterioration of Solomon's reign culminated in internal and external conflicts. Hadad the Edomite and Rezon, son of Eliada, rose up against Solomon, causing turmoil and challenges to his rule. 1 Kings 11:14-23. These adversaries, fueled by the king's weaknesses and mistakes, intensified the instability in the kingdom. In his later years, Solomon, once the wise and just king, saw his kingdom threatened by internal divisions and external attacks. His pursuit of power and wealth, coupled with his apostasy, resulted in a loss of purpose and divine favor. Solomon's legacy became a warning about the dangers of straying from God's ways. The legacy of Solomon. The legacy of Solomon is a complex tapestry of wisdom, grandeur, and human flaws. His story began with promises and remarkable achievements, but he also made mistakes that affected his reign and subsequent generations. Upon ascending to the throne of Israel, Solomon inherited a united and prosperous kingdom from his father David. One of his first great acts was the construction of the temple in Jerusalem, a grand project that took 7 years to complete. 1 Kings 6:38. This temple became the spiritual center of Israel and an enduring symbol of Solomon's devotion. Beyond the temple, Solomon expanded Jerusalem, built magnificent palaces, and strategic fortresses. He transformed Israel into an international trade hub, establishing trade routes and alliances with neighboring nations. Israel's wealth increased significantly during his reign, as recorded in 1 Kings 10:14, which mentions that the weight of the gold that came to Solomon annually was 666 talents. Solomon's wisdom is perhaps his most celebrated legacy. He is credited with the authorship of many of the proverbs found in the book of Proverbs, offering teachings on morality, justice, and prudence. In Proverbs 1:7, Solomon writes, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction." His pursuit of knowledge and understanding not only served him during his reign, but also left an indelible mark on Judeo-Christian literature and tradition. However, Solomon's legacy is also marred by his failings. His decision to take many foreign wives and allow the worship of pagan gods in Israel was a grave mistake. In 1 Kings 11:4 we read, "For when Solomon was old, his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not wholly true to the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father." This apostasy provoked the anger of God, who decided to divide the kingdom after Solomon's death. The consequences of Solomon's actions were felt after his death, when his son Rehoboam took the throne. Unable to maintain the unity and wisdom of his father, Rehoboam faced a rebellion that resulted in the division of the kingdom into Israel and Judah. 1 Kings 12:16-20. The glory and prosperity of Solomon's reign were quickly followed by fragmentation and conflict. Despite his failings, Solomon left a lasting legacy in terms of construction, culture, and literature. His writings continue to be studied and revered, offering valuable lessons on leadership, wisdom, and the dangers of spiritual deviation. Solomon's story is a powerful reminder that even the greatest among us are susceptible to human temptations and weaknesses. The impact of Solomon is felt not only in Israel, but throughout history and world literature. His reign is a testament to the heights a leader can achieve with wisdom and vision, but also serves as a warning about the falls that can occur when fidelity and integrity are compromised. Solomon's life, with all its complexities, continues to resonate as a source of teachings and reflections on power, wisdom, and human frailty. Thank you for watching our video on the fascinating story of Solomon and his complex legacy. I hope you have learned and reflected on the valuable lessons that the life of this great king offers us. Now, we want to hear your opinion. Which aspect of Solomon's legacy do you find most impactful? His wisdom, his grand constructions, or the lessons from his failings? Leave your comment below. We are very eager to hear your thoughts. May you all be blessed, and may Solomon's wisdom inspire your lives in positive ways. Stay with the Creator, and see you in the next video.